right. Oh, yay. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I've missed everyone. I can't believe I skipped a month. But, sometimes you just got to skip a month. I'm going to keep letting people in for just a few minutes, and then we're going to get started because I'm going to try to wrap today up in 90 minutes around 10:30, as I do have a flight later today. But
Not that much later, actually. I mean, that's not giving you a lot of time.
well, I have to be at the airport. The airport's only 15 minutes from me,
Oh,
and
okay,
so
good.
it's
Okay.
okay. It's
Okay, good.
okay. Yeah. I didn't do anything too crazy.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, Kathy's here. All right, so I'm gonna pin you. Pin. You are pinned. Let me pin me. There, we're pinned. Okay.
Exciting.
It's so exciting. And let me see. Okay, a few more people coming in. And Denise and I were just kind of warming up about
Yeah, we're
today's.
already in it. We're in the conversation.
Yeah, we're already in it. We were already going into all the different complexities of our topic today. And I love that Denise was like, let me tell you about um, Mercury going into retrograde right around the holidays. It's like, yay, that's going to be so exciting. Just to add a little bit more spice, right?
Yes,
Everybody.
a little more extra usage of all of our skills and talents.
I like, see, that's why I brought you. Extra skills. I like it. I like it. So, what I want to do first is I have to get around my app that doesn't let me go into social media very much. But I want to introduce Denise just for anybody who is here that may not know who Denise is, which is crazy to think about. But there are probably some people in this world that don't know who Denise is. But so Denise is a visionary guide, psychic, mentor, and strategist who helps creative entrepreneurs and women align with deeper clarity, purpose, and embodied wisdom. She blends a thoughtful mix of astrology, numerology, intuitive insight, and somatic practices in her work. She's also one of the kindest, most supportive, and most ethical people that I have met working in this field. And I wrote that and I believe that because being from New Jersey, I may like the woo, but I'm very leery of the woo because I see a lot of people, I have seen, let's say, a lot of people who it feels like, yeah, this is what the cards say, or this is what's coming, but we got to look out for next year. So you're gonna need to be back in a month so that I can, like you have no power in your life or wisdom. Like I am the oracle, and it becomes. I've seen it become very codependent, let's say, and I get none of that. I mean, Denise wants to empower you. She wants to share, and she, what's not in that is how much training Denise has in areas that she doesn't even talk about because it all just goes in. She and I had talked about constellation work, and I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with constellation work. Um, and I might have told this story before, so I'm going to say it. I mean, I don't know. Please tell me if I've told this story before. I just don't want to be that person that they go, oh no, it's that story again. But I had a colleague when I worked at Passages in Malibu who she did she did constellation work, and another colleague wanted to get it done. So I was invited to be a part of it. Now, if you're not familiar with constellation work, the premise is this is that there's someone having it the be going on that journey, like they're getting the constellation work, but everybody gets the result that's in the room. So people stand in for people in their life, or they could stand in for, say, their shame or their guilt. So people will like volunteer, like, oh, well, I'll be a part. So then you get assigned. So basically, what happened is I was invited by my very woo, very cool, very witchy colleagues that to be a part of this. And I kind of forgot about it. I said, yeah, I'd love to experience it. You guys talk about this all the time. So the night before we were going to do it, I got a text from my friend Lisa, who is leading it. And Lisa said, oh, hey, everybody's like a group text. We're going to meet in the lobby at work at this time and make sure you ate and all of this. And I read this and it was almost like, when the doctor hits your knee and your leg does the react. I threw my phone. Like I just went like, huh, and like threw it down. And then I had this moment of like, what was that all about? Like, what is going on? So, whatever, move on. The next day, all day long, I'm in my office seeing clients. And as the day goes, my body is vibrating. Like when you drank way too much coffee or you're really nervous about something. I don't know, like this inner vibration. And I didn't drink too much coffee. And I had no idea what was going on. And it felt bizarre to me. I was freaked out by it. And so by the time the end of the day comes and everybody's like in the lobby outside my office, woo woo witch number two, Denise is she's out there talking to someone. And so I like peek out my office and I'm like, come here, waving her over. So she comes in my office and I'm like, something is happening to me. I don't know what's happening. It's freaking me out. And I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, what's going on? I said, well, I told her about the night before and like throwing, and then all day I've been sitting here feeling like a generator that's just like amping up and amping up. And so she gets that, that like, she's like giggly. So she's like, well, once you agree to do the constellation, that's when it begins. And I said, you get out of my office. You stop talking that crazy stuff to me. Like, shut your mouth. So she just thinks it's hilarious and she leaves. So we all end up going into Lisa's office to do the constellation. By this time, I have my arms wrapped around me because I feel like I'm going to fly apart. And I'm sitting in a chair and I'm just trying to hold myself together. There's like a kind of like an invitation ritual in the beginning to invite any beings or source energy or anything or any part that wants to show up or any ancestors that want to show up and help. And then they decide who is who. So, and it's the person who's getting it decide. They're the ones that assign to people. I got assigned to represent her.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can laugh. That's okay. This is my first time ever doing this, right? Okay. So,
Wow.
and then the first thing that gets said is Lisa says, okay, I want you to tell yourself, AKA me in the moment, that you forgive yourself. And she looks at me and she says this, and I swear to you, it was like I felt like Linda Blair in The Exorcist when like she's got the pea soup flying everywhere, but that was like energetic, but like from my core comes out this wail. Like I am just like mouth open, sobbing and making these sounds and rocking. And it was like, I, I had to tell you, this is the freakiest thing that ever happened to me in my life. And it was like a spigot was open and it was just flooding, 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 flooding. And then all of a sudden it was like someone turned it off.
Mhm.
And I'm just like slumped in the chair and everyone's eyes are like silver dollars. They're just looking at me and someone's rubbing my back. And when it was all over and everyone left except for Lisa and Denise, they come running up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, I have never seen anyone channel like that before in my life. That is amazing. You really need to learn how to do this." And I looked at them and I said, "Listen to me. I will never do this again in my life. I don't know I am from New Jersey, okay? Like I am the person that my friends call the most grounded. Like they like the fact that I'm grounded. Like I don't know who this person is and I this freaks me out. Um Fast forward 6 months later, I had another client actually ask me if I would be a part of his. And I loved this client. And so I was like, sure. And of course, the same thing happened again. Exactly. I literally sat there with my eyes on the floor because I didn't want to influence him to pick me to represent him and still got it. Um, that was years ago. I haven't done it since. But I bring that up because Denise has been trained in this as well, and she doesn't really talk about it. And there's a lot of work that maybe some of you do or some of you have experienced that defies any kind of
Right.
quantifying. Like you can't
Yeah.
nail down, like it can't be repeated over and
Yeah.
over with the same result. It's there's a magical piece, a spiritual piece that goes into it. And that's what I love about working with Denise. That's what I love. That's why I wanted Denise to come because of that part where, when you look back, Galileo was like the grandfather of modern science, but he decided to separate this type of science, like the internal, the spiritual. He said we can't move forward with science with that because it's too ethereal, it's too hard to nail down, and created material science, right? So you have to be able to measure it, you have to be able to see it, touch it, feel it, like you have to, like that's the science. And so now we're actually starting, science is trying to go in and bring the rest of science in that won't fit into the material model. And so anyway, that's why I was so excited to have Denise join us. And I'm going to now turn the mic over to Denise and let her
Oh, thank
jump
you,
in.
Christine. Okay, so I just have to say, for those of you who don't know me, um, I'm just so grateful to know Christine. And the first time we met was probably on Zoom calls because we were prepping for a Journey On podcast summit. But I'll never, it's weird. There are sometimes, there are some people you just never forget the first moment you are in their physical presence. And I'll never forget being in Texas. I want to say at the Alamo. So maybe that was our past life. But but anyway, I'll never forget being there in Texas and San Antonio. And I saw you. And You are just pure love. And at that time, I didn't know you were a Leo. At that time, I didn't realize that, Leo rules the heart and that you're just being your Leo self, full of heart and generosity and love. And, for those of you that most of you know Christine already, some of you, this may be your first time meeting her. Um, it's true. I mean, that's you, authenticity, love, generosity. These are all very Leo traits, and you just exuded it. And I was just like, oh, and then I got this hug. And yes, Kathy's here, and Kathy has a reputation for the hugs, but Christine, you also are very good with the hugs. So I just want to let you know that. Okay. Very good with the hugs. We got to give Kathy her due. Yeah. But you're very good with the hugs. So anyway, I just have to say, that moment will always be with me. Oh, it just felt so good. Anyway. All right. So there's that. All right. So I want to start actually with some breathing. There's a couple of things that I will address. Just basically, I really want to connect in with what you were sharing, Christine, because it will fit nicely with what we're going through right now astrologically, what we're headed into in terms of our holidays and our families. And then I'm going to let you talk about that part because I'm like, yeah, that's for you. Um, so thank you, Kathy. Um, so anyway, but let's start with breathing, just because what it does is it brings us all together in the space and it creates that container that allows us to deepen and enjoy our time together. And for those that are listening later, you're in this too. So we're including you, even though we don't know who you are right now. So how I like to do this, it's all an invitation, but I like to close my eyes. So if you want to close your eyes, you can, or just lower your gaze, whatever feels safe enough to you, and just bring yourself into yourself right now and connect with your body. How do you feel in your body? And some of us may not feel so great in our bodies in different ways. So that's okay, but just, say hello to your body. For some of you, it's evening. For some of you, it's morning, but saying hello or thank you for the day. And then we're going to take a breath and expand the belly and expand the belly a little bit more. And then exhale through the mouth when you're ready. Oh, yes. And dropping the shoulders is good. And then breathing in and expanding the belly. Expand it just a bit more. And then exhaling. Relaxing the jaw if you can, dropping the shoulders, feeling your hips sink into the chair if you're sitting. If you're standing, feeling yourself relax, feeling supported by the ground. And this time as we breathe in, go ahead and thank the earth where you are for supporting you, and breathe in that gratitude up through the soles of your feet. Expand the belly. And exhaling through your mouth. And this time again, thanking all those who have come before, both here on the ground where we are, but also in our families and our other lineages, thanking them all and filling with that gratitude for being here right now in this moment. And exhaling when you're ready. And we'll do one more for good measure. Just breathing in, feeling this nourishment that the earth has to offer us. And exhaling. So when you're ready, you can come back in. I like when I'm doing that, I could probably do that for like a half an hour. I mean, be fun. I wanted to pull a card today because we can. I I decided to use the deck that Kathy Price and I gave to our retreat participants this year, which, by the way, we will be having another retreat next year, just to let everyone know. So when you're done going to Bali with Christine and Kathy, just buy another plane ticket and come over to Wales because
There you go.
right. But anyway, this is the Wisdom of the Trees Oracle, and I thought it would be, I can't really see myself, so I've pinned you. So I want to make sure that you can see, yeah,
Yeah.
you can
You
see.
can pin yourself too if you want.
I like being able to not see myself at times.
Oh, we'll talk
I
about
do,
that
I
later.
do for YouTube, I mean, but yes, So anyway, the Wisdom of the Trees Oracle, Kathy found this one and I love it. And we all have trees, hopefully, where we are. Most of us. Actually, I do have a client where there's not a lot of trees, but that's okay. It's all right. There's at least one somewhere. All right. And as I'm doing this, just to let you all know, as I go into the woo, right? In Eastern Europe, a lot of times when people would use tarot cards, and back then the oracle would be more of runes, like the Vikings had runes that they would use for oracles. Bones would be used as oracles. When I'm doing this in Eastern Europe, the idea was that your ancestors are coming through to give you information when you pull a card. So whether it's our higher self, a higher being, our ancestors, other higher beings, I'm just offering for the collective, for our group, that we are all here together connecting, and that this card that I pull will have relevance, hopefully, for as many of us as possible. Okay, here it is, the magic of, well, a tree that I haven't seen in a long time. So I'll be curious. I would love to know how many of you have seen or been in the presence of a banyan tree.
Well, they're all over Bali.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, are we bringing in the magic of Bali already? Oh, good. Okay. So seriously though, I mean, a lot of you are off camera and that's fine. You can stay off camera, but Hawaii, Bali. How many of you have seen a banyan tree or been underneath a banyan tree? I see a few of you. Okay, cool. Thank you. They're very special. They're unique. And why are they unique, Christine?
Because they grow down from the branches,
Yeah.
send like little tentacles down into the ground. And the one that we visit in Bali, actually, it's hollow inside. You can walk through it. Yeah, it's super cool.
Okay, there's a selling point. Do you guys have any room on that trip still, or is it full now?
We do. I think we have two spaces left
Okay.
on that
All
trip.
right. This is your clue to whoever out there.
Shameless
Banyan
plug.
tree. Okay. There was on Maui, that devastating fire a
Mhm.
couple of years ago. The banyan tree survived, thankfully, due to some really serious efforts by people who know what they're doing, arborists, and it was ancient, and we hear a
Mhm.
lot in particularly in India and in chanting and in some of the music, and the banyan tree shows up a lot, in at least in the lyrics, but also in just in the understanding that there's wisdom. So I'll be really curious. I am going to look. I don't always look at the books. You all know, those of you that know me know I'm always like, oh, we should just go with first answer, best answer. What is your intuition telling you? So before I go into what the wisdom of it is, if any of you see this as a sign to go to Bali, just remember first answer, best answer. There's only 2 spots left. Okay, I'll stop now. But seriously, there is just a really powerful energy associated with the ancientness of the banyan tree. So the key word for the banyan tree is anchoring.
Mhm.
So in constellation, I'm just going to start weaving it in now. Uh,
Mhm.
in constellation work, which, by the way, has its roots, since we're going to go to roots. I think we're going to roots. We're going to family. We're going to roots. We're going to anchoring.
The
Um,
family tree.
Yep, family tree. Yep, we're doing it. And this is an interesting side note, because I'm famous for my side notes, right? Side note, family tree. If your family tree, our family trees actually look more like this, with little things coming down off of them,
That's
more
so
than that.
true.
The pretty family trees. I mean, not that this isn't beautiful, but you know what I'm saying. It's like,
Mhm.
this has little extras. We, okay, so side note, okay, wait, I have to talk about the constellation work. Then I'll get to the banyan tree. So constellation work, as I was trained in it, was developed by Bert Hellinger, who's from Germany. He spent time with the Zulu people in Africa. So I feel like I need to make sure that we give credit to the Zulus because it is through their cultural practices that constellation work came into the Western, we call it the Western world or whatever, into a different way of being. So I really want to honor them in just this moment, just say thank you to all those who have come before and done this. And second side note, because we're going to have a lot of those. One of my favorite constellation facilitators, Christine, is from South Amboy.
Oh, no way. New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay. And if anyone wants to learn any more about constellation work in a really, I think, a really powerful way, it's very supportive. There's a book called It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolynn. And I really recommend that book. And if you're really interested and you want some fun homework, um, there's a Netflix show because homework can be fun, right?
Hmm.
It can be
Hmm.
totally fun. There's a Netflix show entitled Another Self,
Mm.
and it's Turkish. It's dubbed in English, which actually was really interesting because I love this. Christine and I can just talk for hours. We will actually get to some content maybe, but
Well, this is content.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Well, but anyway, it's dubbed in English, and when ooh, I have to say, it really gave me a understanding of what people think of us by the way the choices of the words that they use for American English. I shouldn't
Mm.
include the English
Oh,
English
you mean in the
in the
subtitles?
dubbing. It was
Ah,
sort
or
of,
oh.
it's a little embarrassing. It's a little embarrassing. So anyway, but Another Self, it was on Netflix. Really enjoyed it. It's not a documentary, it's a drama. But one of the things I will say, having done hundreds and hundreds of constellations, Christine, hundreds
Wow, I
of them.
can't.
I know it's a lot. And I really have empathy for your experience because when you're really open the way you are, the energy does channel and it moves. And the point of a constellation is to move energy. Constellations are meant to move the energy in ways that allow more love to flow. So the idea is that you're uh, disentangling some of the roots, you know,
Hmm.
you're disentangling some of the roots so that more love can flow from your ancestors to you. And then for those of you that have children, to your children and to your grandchildren now, Christine. So the
Okay.
idea is that even as a representative, you're getting the benefit of that so you can pass that on to the next generations beyond you. If you don't have children, I don't have children, then my thought is that I'm becoming the better person that I can be so then I can put that energy out into the world as well. So anyway, what I want to say about the show is that even though it's a drama with actors, I think they might have really been doing constellations because I don't think you can actually stop the energy from really happening. Because, Christine, you have to watch the show because when you're watching it,
Hmm.
it's like you're in a constellation. It is the most profound thing. I'm like, oh my God, I think they're really doing it. So, David and I watched, there's only 2 seasons, unfortunately. I would have watched, would have watched it forever. Um, when David and I watched it, we watched it through twice because we were just stunned by actually how good it was. So
Mm.
anyway, okay.
Yeah, I'll probably get lost in it because do you remember the show In Treatment?
Oh, yeah.
I was like geeking out on that show.
Exactly.
So
We all have our geek out shows, and that's
yeah.
mine. Okay.
And thank
So
you for sharing the part of the origins
yeah.
with the Zulu Nation because I didn't know that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it makes so much sense because it's such a much more in-depth way of looking at something and
Mhm.
having representational like where animals represent things and things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
so it
it
makes
is.
sense that it did have origins in that. And
It
and
totally
I'm
does.
glad I
And you can,
know.
the earth is represented and you can, there's, it's an amazing modality. And I've been, in my language, Pluto's been nudging me for a long time to put it back in maybe more officially. So some of you who have worked with me over the years know that I often um, I can do a constellation remotely and I can do it one-on-one. It's not the same exactly, but the energy works how energy works. So, I've been adding it back in a little bit here and there. But that being said, when you're in a group and you have that experience, I mean, if you ever have an opportunity with someone who I would say is well trained, do it. Because,
Yeah.
and I do say well trained because the sacred container has to be safe. It is an intense process and it's beautiful and fun, but it fun for me, fun for
Mm-hmm.
me, but it does need to be safe enough. And so, and Christine, I know you know that. Like, if by the way, I could see why your client asked you to be there, and I could totally see why it all ended up the way it ended up, because you're safe and you're going to create safety with your presence. And that's the one ingredient that's important, whether we're looking at any kind of work we're doing individually, but also to extend this already into the next conversation, part of the conversation, if we are meeting with family or if we are not meeting with family during the holidays, because equally this is going to happen
Mm-hmm.
either by design or not,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's design. Safety
Mm-hmm.
Safety in the container is key, no matter what the work is. And one thing I can say, having worked with Christine, I just feel like the safety is off the charts. So thank you, Christine, for bringing that into our worlds. Okay, back to the banyan tree, because, this is what we were going to talk about. Um, I didn't know this. It bears figs. Did you know banyan trees have?
What?
Yeah, it bears figs. And it grows up to 80 feet. Cool. Okay.
I
The
kind of like
most,
to look at the idea of the branches going out and then going down
yeah,
as like the branches going out being our connection to our biological family, and then the
yes.
branches going down as being our chosen family.
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's beautiful. Let's do it. Okay, so there's a message. So now we're getting back into the message from the tree. I can teach you how to anchor yourself within the world to increase your sense of being grounded. And boy, we're going to need that going forward. So anybody, portal, eclipse portal, we're in. This is really important. Um, I have given shelter to people for thousands of years so that humans, plants, and other living creatures can all survive together. It's beautiful. So it's easily recognizable because of the aerial roots going down to the soil, where they become additional trunks that support the ever expanding canopy. How beautiful is this for not just for our individual families and our chosen families, but for our world, right? And maybe our universe or our multiverse, depending on what you want to think. Um, oh my gosh. Eventually, the complex network of extra trunks enables a single tree to spread across several acres.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Okay. The banyan is sacred in India, which is where it is native. And the Vedas and the Upanishads associate it with Brahma, the immortal god of creation. Both the bark and the leaf buds are used in Ayurveda to staunch bleeding. Okay, so we know a little bit more. Okay, so now we get to the woo part. So this is this person's interpretation. So I want us to take this in the context of holidays and family gatherings. Okay, so really, I am serious about this. I really believe that when a card comes, it's coming because we've set an intention to kind of put something forward into the conversation. I will read the shadow side first. Okay. Are you clinging onto something that feels safe more because you are alarmed at the thought of being without it than because it gives you pleasure? I throw that over to Christine for later. Try to avoid holding on to people, possessions, or situations for the fear of losing them. And oh my gosh, I mean, I just have to say this, like, I always say, I don't pull these cards for myself. I really don't. But I just was working with a client this morning and we were going through the releasing forgiveness process. We were talking about an ongoing practice of releasing and forgiving, um, which of course is very helpful at all times, but certainly holidays are helpful. Okay, so that's the shadow side. The other side is a different interpretation. Someone needs your emotional, moral, or physical support, even though they may not admit it. Gently let them know that you are ready to help them if they wish. So funny, but don't encourage them to become dependent on you. I threw that one right back to Christine and the whole communications and all of the work that you do. So, Christine, thoughts, just even, and then we'll get into more of the holidays and the astro magic, but what do you think?
Well, I think it's pretty apropos that you pulled this card. Uh, We were just talking before we started about, about this idea of it used to be that if you had a family member in your life that was super toxic, that you could be kind of shamed for limiting your exposure to them or, releasing them from your life in the day to day.
Yeah.
And what it feels like has then started happening now is that that has become something that maybe people are doing a little bit too quickly.
Mhm.
Because if you have a family member that's like that, it means that you've probably tried everything. How we say, we tried everything. Um, but one of the things that people, I would just maybe suggest is sometimes that we can't let go of our expectation. And you brought up that we're clinging to things. This clinging to ways of being or expectations to of people or situations. And we may have this expectation, like if it's a mother, right? We have this expectation that they will become a mother and they will become loving and protective. And every time we are around them, there's a part of us that is hoping for that. And when that doesn't happen, or worse,
Mhm.
we get hurt again.
Mhm.
And so in the way that that is happening is a lot of the toxicity is in that dynamic. Whereas if you were able to, you were at the point where this was possible, where you could really pull back and take an honest assessment of that person and say, and look at them from the standpoint of, based on their mental capacity, their experiences, their beliefs, what is really a more realistic expectation of who they are and how they could show up in our relationship. And by looking at that and saying, well, maybe all this really can be is that I stay lightly connected through a phone call once a month. Maybe that's what it is.
Mhm.
But we've accepted that, we've taken them as they are, and we've accepted that. And we have to mourn and let go of the version of them that we always hoped that they would be, and allow them to just be who they really are. And so much pain and suffering can be released when we can do that from ourselves too. Because a lot of times, if we do this in the way of that's it, you're out. I don't want to talk to you again. I don't want, if it's not, if it's done out of anger and frustration and not from a grounded place, right? We carry that.
Yeah.
We carry it in us. So you could even look at it from a selfish standpoint of like, I don't want to be carrying other people that were like unhealed or heavy or toxic relationships because I may have physically changed the boundaries around them, but I could energetically and emotionally still be carrying them because I didn't show up in the way that feels like my highest self in the way I want to, that has real clearing to it and real clarity. So that's what I would say to that.
Oh gosh, thank you. And I really appreciate your wisdom, um, and the allowance for variation in relationship. I think a lot of us grew up believing that, we had to adhere to a certain type of relationship with members of our family. There wasn't choice involved. And I think sometimes when there is that really hard line, that's when that making a decision in anger, that's probably where that comes from because we're trying to break free of something. And I'm appreciating also the acknowledgement. Some relationships are just toxic and they're not appropriate for us ever. So I think that's really important
Mhm.
to also acknowledge. There are, and it's okay, like to be okay with the fact that one's parent or maybe someone else in the family is toxic. It's really important to just be okay. Not, I'm like, I will just be honest. I don't have a relationship with my mother that is one where I have a phone call every month. The toxicity there and the physical and emotional abuse of my childhood has led me down a path where it was better for me to have a lot of space, a lot of space. And, again, always coming back around to that, though, with what you're saying, absolutely expectations and the dynamic play a huge role in that. And the reason I'm kind of going into this a little bit more vulnerably is because right now we're in the middle of an incredible portal, astrologically speaking, where we can do the release work. We can release our expectations. We can release um, each person from, or each situation, each energy that we need to, we are letting it go in favor of something better. Okay, so I know a lot of you have already done this, but you can go back to my YouTube if you want to and see the process that we're in. So I'm not going to go back over that, but this idea of being able to release into this astrological portal anything that is blocking us, any fear we have, confusion and doubt. The magic of it is that you're actively involved in it. And if there's relationships um, and again, there's a whole bunch of reasons why relationships and connection to each other, there's so much healing that needs to happen, whether we're talking about our own families or our human family. It's clear beyond a shadow of a doubt that healing must happen. And how are we getting to that point? And this portal that we're in gives us an opportunity right now. And it has been an intense week. And we have one more week of the portal. On the 21st, we have a new moon, a second new moon, which is really cool, in Virgo at 29 degrees. And that new moon opens up another uh, series of energies, but it offers a closure to this portal by allowing us on that day to look at the powerful affirmations that come from us, from our wisdom, from how we are moving through the world. So, right now, so coming kind of, I'm going to try to pull all of this together. With the way the astrology is set up, I believe a lot of the intensity comes from some planets. This is my language, this is what I work with. Pluto is our planet of transformation. It is the planet of death and rebirth. There are cycles, and in every cycle, there's a letting go process, there's a releasing process. We have to do that in order to move to the next better place. So Pluto has moved into Aquarius full time. And when Pluto or any planet is at the beginning of a sign, it's like turbulence on takeoff, basically. It's not super fun. I don't really enjoy flying. So this is my analogy because I don't enjoy flying, but you all can enjoy whatever you want. But turbulence of any kind doesn't make me happy. But it's like when you're taking off and there's like this intensity of takeoff, right? And so Pluto is exerting an incredible amount of intensity in an area of our astrology that says we need to come together. We need to come together, not be divisive. We are people that are meant to love and be in this process of evolution of our souls and our hearts and connection with each other. Aquarius is, some of you have planets in Aquarius, and Aquarius represents that which will be sustainable over the next 7 generations. So I think no matter where we are, I think we can all agree that what we have right now is not something we'd like to sustain.
Mm.
Okay. So how do we get to sustainability of love, of wellness, of well-being, of connection? And Pluto says, well, you have to change. You have to make changes. So there is this transformative energy, and it's intense. And again, I think a lot of us, because we're a lot of people here, I'm sure, are empaths and highly sensitive people. When events transpire in any part of our world where people are suffering, okay, we're going to feel that. And so, as people who are highly sensitive, as people who are feeling and you go to any corner of the world at this point, and there is suffering, right? I believe that's part of the human experience, but I have to tell you all that I railed against this for most of my life. Like, I don't believe in suffering. I hate suffering. But the truth is, there is suffering. There's suffering. And so what am I going to do within myself, and what am I going to do outside myself to help alleviate suffering? And Pluto in Aquarius says, get involved. Get involved by being authentic, by being generous, by being big-hearted, by being loving, by being kind. Aquarius and Leo are opposite each other. So Christine, to kind of put this in perspective, as the Leo, all the traits that you carry, Aquarius says it's, Leo is very much about, how do I want to say this? Leo is very much about the working with the individual and groups as well, because again, there's this, I'll explain that in a minute. There's a spectrum, but the Leo is very much about leading. There's a lot of leading in the Leo. And the Aquarius energy is about where you lead. And that Aquarius energy is very often about networks of support and groups and communities. And how can we create a better community? When I say better, what I'm saying is more loving, more kind, more aligned, more open, more tolerant, more diverse. So to be clear, how do we include an inclusive and community of belonging, right? For all beings. So Pluto says, look, Look, people, this is what we're about. We're about change and we're about inclusivity and diversity.
Mhm.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
Mhm.
And the Leo energy gets in there and says, absolutely, let's bring heart, let's bring generosity, let's bring life force to that. Leo also has a strong connection to family. So the spectrum goes from family of origin, let's say, to family of all. Okay, so exactly what we've been talking about right now. So as we move through the portal, individually, we can absolutely release. What do I need to release within myself so that I can evolve and connect and heal? Pluto actually represents a tremendous amount of healing energy, a huge amount of healing energy. So, so she takes a deep breath. As everything intensifies, remember the greater good is for the healing,
Yes.
for the healing. I want to pause. I have a million things to say, Christine, but I could talk all by myself for another hour. So do you want to add anything in here?
I do actually.
Yeah.
One of the things is, in reference to what you were talking about, when when you see such suffering, when we see such pain and turmoil and anger and fear all around us,
Yeah.
um, because we co-regulate, it's really easy to get caught up in that. It's really easy to take it on. And we can also see ourselves as good, like we're the good people,
Mhm.
and then behave in the same way
Mhm.
as the quote unquote bad people.
Mhm.
And then you end up becoming what you don't like.
Mhm. That's the shadow. That's it right there. When we subvert our shadow, we can become the shadow.
Yeah. It reminds me of, you remember that saying, and I always think about this because I too I can get fiery too, you know.
Really, you're a
Um,
Leo. I mean,
I
I don't
know
understand.
it's very strange. My friends would say it never happens. But I always, to kind of bring me back, I always think of that saying where they say, if you walk into a room and two people are screaming at each other, fighting, who's right? You'll have no idea,
No.
right? We'll have no idea. So it always brings me back. Like if I find myself that I am now yelling
Mhm.
or throwing, my um, ideas, opinions,
Mhm.
experience, perspective,
Yeah.
throwing it aggressively at someone else because I feel like they're throwing theirs out, then I have become a mirror to what I don't want to see. And that I think is that shadow side, right? And this ties so into what can happen easily around going into family events because and a lot of times what do? We armor up, right? Like we're already envisioning the disaster before we get there. We're already playing out our role. We're already like writing our lines. We come in with that charge where and we feel it from others. They feel it from like we're all communication is not words. That's like nothing. The words mean so little. It's the energy, the intention, the tone, the body language. Like that's what comes out.
Yeah.
And we have to first check in with us. And that can be both difficult and the most empowering thing that you can do because you connect with this idea that, oh, it's not about me coming in with the best argument or changing minds or having my talking points, or it's about, can I trust myself?
Mhm.
Can I believe in myself so much that I don't have to defend, that I don't have to argue, that I can just let it all blow by?
I'm only laughing because I'm pretty sure my answer would be no. But okay, but I'm appreciating this beyond anything I can say. I mean, really.
Well, there's a Buddhist parable that talks that where the idea is the Buddha asks his students, what is stronger, the mighty oak or the grass? And they all answer that the oak tree is clearly
Yeah.
stronger. I can't,
Yeah.
I could pick up and tear up a little piece of
Yeah.
grass,
Yeah.
but no, that's not the answer. The answer is the grass. And the reason is because when the wind blows, the tree can be felled. The resistance it's putting against the wind
Yeah.
makes it easily breakable. But the grass just blows back and forth and it doesn't allow anything to break it. And it
So,
goes right back to standing up.
yes. And okay. So, side note, Christine, both Christine and I have our sun in the eighth house in our chart. So I love these conversations because we can go really deep. We don't avoid the shadow, which I love. So here's what I want to go into. So I apologize to anyone if this is too much, but I'm hopeful that it all comes around. Christine is so true. And I think the reason, I'll just speak for myself maybe, is going into oak mode. Let's just call it, we're going into oak tree mode right now, where is from trauma. And trauma, when we are survivors, and for those of you that don't know Christine, she is very much understands this at a very deep level. So personally as well as professionally. Um, you know, Trauma does change how we see things and how we approach things. So this is something that I have really worked with over the years. And this is, getting professional support, working with any kind of trauma is really, really, really important in my book. And I know in yours too, because you do. Um, the um, the energy of the oak was very protective. And I think it's so important to acknowledge, like we move toward that energy, or I've moved toward that energy because it was protective. The oak tree is a protector, it's a guardian. And so we can love that, but you are so right, or Buddha was right. Whoever actually said it was right, because that grass does move. And so this meditation is coming to me for us to try for homework, which is let's be in the oak tree for a while, or we can be in the banyan tree. I mean, we can do whatever. We can do a lot of meditations with this, but be the oak tree for a while and then be the grass for a while in this meditation, and just feel like, what does it feel like? Because it's true, we will gravitate toward the oak tree, especially if we have had trauma. I mean, that is a normal thing to do, and certainly understandable. But what does it
Can I
feel like
make,
to be the grass?
I want to say something to that. I
Yeah.
love this and I want you to keep going. I
Okay.
want to just, before we get too far
Yeah.
away, I
Yeah.
think it's what you've brought up here is the duality
Yeah.
of things standing in representation,
Mhm.
but the or vision of the representation may not be the
Mhm.
true representation.
Right.
So, what's tricky about the duality around having been the victim of trauma, experienced trauma? Victim is a touchy word, but like if you've experienced trauma,
Mhm.
is that we can then become the bully,
Mhm.
become the person who is now projecting
Mhm.
that onto others
Mhm.
because we get stuck
Mhm.
as the child. We get stuck as the person without power. And we go into every situation feeling like we have no power. And then we puff up really big. We get really big because someone just hurt us and we want to make sure they never do that again. So we come at them at 10 times at what
Yeah.
the perceived issue was. And sometimes it's in our perception that it gets twisted because we are feeling like we have no power. So it's very important that we do a lot of self reflection. I mean, there's nothing better than that's, it's not about sitting around beating yourself up at all.
Mhm.
But can you see yourself? Can you pull back and go, okay, that person said this. Boy, that made me really angry. I felt this way. But could they have meant something different than the way I took it? Is
Yeah.
there other things that they could have meant?
That happened to me just the other day. I can give you an exact example of this.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I
David
love
and I are on a
real life
walk.
examples.
Yeah, David and I are on a walk because you're 100% right about this. David and I are on a walk. Blah, blah, blah. We're talking about a difficult situation that happened to me. So it's my, not him and me, but something that happened to me. And he uses the statement, something about when you blah, 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 then this happens. Now, he meant collective you. I did not hear that.
Hmm.
My little sweet little inner child who's had too much to contend with in this lifetime, my little inner child was like, not happy. It really personally. And so, where does the conversation go from there? It does not go well because he doesn't know I'm taking it personally. He's got his own shit, right? Sorry, can we swear on this?
Yes, you can. This
Oh,
is New
okay.
Jersey.
You know,
No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Uh,
I'm in
so
California, but it's a Jersey vibe. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, okay, great. It's a Jersey vibe. I like that. That could be a little logo. I'm in California, but it's a Jersey vibe. You could just that could be a thing. That could be a t-shirt.
I
You could
like it.
probably sell those.
I want you to be my business manager. Can you do that?
Yeah, I can do it. It's the forecasting. It's the future thing. Anyway, so we have this challenged conversation now because he doesn't realize I've taken it personally. And oh my God, ew, yuck. It goes quite a well, we're taking a walk, so it goes several blocks before which
Before
I'm
you
like,
guys realize you're having two different conversations. Like,
totally. All of a sudden I'm like, did you mean for that to be personal? Like I had to come, but I my amygdala had already been
mm-hmm.
so I had to really come back. And he's like, no, no, not at all. Not at all. So anyway, we worked it out, obviously. But ugh, so to your point, which conversation are we having? You know?
Hmm.
Also something that you said just wants me to kind of circle back around to this. So in this intensity that we're in astrologically, um, there's also Saturn has just moved back into Pisces at 29 degrees. So when I talk about this, the 29, the 0, and the first degree of any sign is more intense than any other. There's so many planets that are on at all these degrees that it's really, I mean, this is a unique time in our lifetime. Anyway, I'm not into hype, but I will say it is a unique time, but really unique. Can you say that really? Yeah, maybe. Um, Saturn has come back into Pisces and is saying to us, what are your commitments? That would be a Saturn word to compassion, because that's really what you were looking at in what you were saying. The wisdom that you carry has a lot to do with heart and compassion and an understanding, but the compassion has to start with ourselves first. I mean, we have to do that journey first. And so Saturn has come back around to say, what is your commitment to compassion? And what is your commitment to mm, flow, which is interesting because Saturn is very much not about flow per se in the way that like a Piscean energy would be. Saturn is like the sides of the river or the sides of the Grand Canyon. Um, Saturn help, and it can change. You know, water. This is a thing about energy and water being a metaphor for that right now. Um, if you have enough water, it carves a new path.
Mm.
If you have enough collective energy,
Mm-hmm.
it can carve a new path with compassion. And so we're being given this right now. We are being given a reminder. And this, I mean, I hope it's not the last time in my lifetime, but Saturn's orbit is 29 years. So at least for the next 29 years, this is the last time we have this particular direct communication from Saturn that says, what is the sacred container you want to have, people? How do you want this to be? And how much compassion do you want to have as a part of that? So in February of next year, a lot of you already know this, but around the 14th and 15th of February, um, Saturn and another planet, Neptune, come into alignment at 0 degrees Aries. This has not happened in thousands of years. One of the people I respect, Pam Gregory, she's in the UK. She's an astrologer, and she says it has been 25,000 years since Neptune and Saturn have been together at 0 degrees Aries. I personally cannot verify that. I do not know how to do that math. So, and I'm not going to try. So what I can say though is based on my own abilities, I can say thousands of years that these planets have not been together at 0 point Aries. Now, what's important about this is that Aries is the beginning. It is the alpha. Pisces is the omega. This is the beginning. We have an opportunity to start again. And Saturn is saying to us, oh my gosh, did you forget? We need compassion as a part of this. We need, and Pisces represents a lot of things. There's a shadow side to this, and I won't get into all of the details of that today, but you know, Christine, to your point, when we subvert our shadow side, when we don't take a look in that mirror, we're just setting ourselves up for conflict, basically, and unhappiness. And so these planets are giving us opportunity. I feel it is important for me to mention Neptune is at 0 degrees Aries right now. And Neptune rules Pisces. So I'm trying to avoid the sun is getting into my eyes. I didn't quite adjust the blinds right before we started.
And we adjusted the blinds quite a few times. So
Oh yeah. Do you have a little thing that does that? Yeah.
I don't. It's my hand. That's my little.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, the Neptune being there already is giving us a reminder that the shadow side again, so we don't want to subvert the shadow. The shadow side is not of Neptune and or Pisces is to live in a delusion or an illusion. Now, I will say to you, I'm perfectly okay with needing to take some time out and go into our daydreams and our visions. No one expects us to live in the harsh reality that we have right now 100% of the time. And one thing I have made note of is that as a group, we have been in unrelenting stress now for a very long time. And that is not healthy for our body. So Christine, to your point, what are our tools? You know, what are we doing?
Where is your energy going? See,
Right.
this is where I go, like, you can bring this all back to being just super selfish about yourself. Like,
Mhm.
I did want to address, because Julia brought up a really good point that I think a lot of people struggle with, which is the idea of allowing versus being complicit, right? So if somebody
Right.
is saying something that we feel is hateful, or
Mhm.
just unevolved or whatever it is. I think that what's important to know to look at is there's two things here. One is you definitely have the autonomy and ability to put yourself and be in situations that you want to be and not be in situations you don't want to be.
Mhm.
Um, and that's true across the board. But the other part is that what do we ultimately want? Do
Mhm.
we want to be right?
Mhm.
Or do we want the other person to maybe start to think differently? And if and I think that we can go into ego and put ourselves, it's our job. We're now the police, right? It's our job to I gotta straighten you out, and I gotta straighten you out, and I'm not gonna tolerate this, and you're all backwards thinkers, and you're all mean, and you cause pain. And what we don't understand is that that person doesn't have that belief
Mhm.
at us. Like they didn't just pick it to beat us over the head with it. They have that belief because of their own system of logic based on their own experiences. And what we do is that when we come back with a hammer, we're driving a nail into them staying that way because that's what people do. We all do that. We double down when we feel attacked for how we think and feel.
Mhm.
And so we're actually creating what we don't want.
Yeah.
Whereas if we just either chose to say, look, it makes me sad, truthfully, that went to hear that that's how you feel, just because I can really identify with the people on the other side of that opinion, or, that's not been my experience. That's a much softer, more, I'm just speaking from me. I'm not shaming you. I'm not judging you. I'm not telling you. I'm just speaking from me. And then you can, depending on the situation, you can make a request. You can say, look, I like our time together. I like spending time with you. Do you think that you'd be willing to maybe we don't talk about this subject together so
Mhm.
that, we can enjoy our time together. We can have different views, but it just drains the energy and it just takes away from our relationship. Um, I don't think that I'm going to agree with everyone. And maybe, there's things that we could learn from each other. But right now,
Mhm.
I'm just going to request that we don't touch these subjects or this subject.
Mhm.
And look, they have the option. Like they could say sure, and it's great, and it's not an issue. They could say sure and do it again and again, right? They could say no, free speech. I get to say what I want, or whatever it is, right? Like who knows where they. So then we have Plan B, right? Then we have Plan B, which is okay. So if that is the case, then what am I going to do in that situation? Well, maybe I could say, I'm going to make another request. Hey, I just want to point out, can we not talk about this? Because we both feel very passionate. We both have different beliefs. And I'm not saying who's right or wrong, but I don't want my energy going in there. I want to enjoy talking to you or whatever it is. Whatever it is. I just want to get through dinner, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever
Just
it
want to get
happens.
through Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes.
And if it doesn't change,
Mhm.
then the only thing you have power over is yourself. So don't feed what you don't want to see. Do the thing, just get up, go, I'm just going to go for a walk. I'll be back. Or, you know, you don't want to be at the German, that's it, I'm leaving. Very different energy, right? You know what? I'm just going to excuse myself for a minute. Or maybe I just need to go to the bathroom, just kind of make it
Mhm.
really light.
Yeah.
Go take a walk, go away. Maybe in 10 minutes you come back to the table, it's a whole new conversation and you just friggin', you just missed it. But what we resist persists. Where is your energy going? If you go oak tree, just know that that's a lot of energy that could have actually going into that river that carves a new way and creates what you want versus standing in the river with your arms up trying to stop it.
Yes. Trust me on this one. Verify this personally. Yeah, Christine, I really appreciate, you know, I of course peeked a little at your chart. I really appreciate but, and here's the thing about Christine, everyone. s- She's very deep and will take you on a deep journey for the healing for sure. Um, but you're suggesting that it's also okay to request with a soft and light approach so that the family dinner does not need to become the battleground for solving the world's problems. Now, this was not the case when I was growing up. Nobody knew how to do this. And so this would be a skill that needs to be developed. I mean, I clearly there's challenges in every family, but some a little more than others. So I will say, beautifully said, Christine. And then later, if you really want to have a conversation with that person, one of the things that I've learned in some of the advocacy and allyship courses that I've taken, some of them have been such amazing, and they're really stretchy for me because this is not how, I mean, I grew up, everybody was in their corner and they were coming out, literally coming out into the ring. But so I've had to take a lot of classes, and I am not particularly skilled in the area of conflict and being able to help dissolve that. I just want it to go away, which doesn't really help either, by the way. Just as a side note, that doesn't that's that illusion Neptunian. Um, this
Yeah.
is not there.
Well, it's that avoiding or fear of
Yeah,
confrontation is
yeah,
also a big driver because then when
yeah,
what we avoid, it builds up, the energy gets bigger
yeah.
and bigger in us. So by the time we address it, it usually blows up. So,
Yeah. I mean, and this is, and Christine, you and Lauren have been, I don't know if you're still doing it, but you had been teaching classes around communication um for a while now. And this is the kind of thing, this is the nitty-gritty stuff. This is like, how do I navigate this in the midst of a family dinner, in the midst of a Mercury retrograde? So one of the things that I've learned is get curious. What you just said, what you just modeled is beautiful. And like you said, if that person continues, then you've got to have your next option. What am I doing next? Whatever it is. If you really truly want to be in relationship with that person, what I've heard, what I've heard,
yeah,
Christine,
well, I've heard other
what
people
I've
say.
heard, when I think that I want to try it, no, is to get curious, is to get curious. Um, if you really want to go down that road. And I have found that it helps to have a facilitator of that
Mhm.
conversation. If it's not safe enough, because
Mhm.
sometimes it really doesn't feel safe. I mean, it might not be a safe environment.
And it
And
might not be safe in you because the
no,
only way that you're able to be curious, like if your nervous system is like,
yeah,
that is not a time to get curious, okay? Because
no,
you're not going to hear
no,
clearly. It's just going to go into the same filter.
no. Yeah, exactly,
So
exactly.
I will say a key to this making the request, a key to all of this is you have to be the person that's like really aware of your body. And when you feel that little pilot light come on in your gut because someone just said something or gave a look or it's
Yeah,
sarcastic comment,
yeah.
know that that's probably not the time for your mouth to open
Mm-mm.
because you're probably going to then go into that flooded state where, and then the worst part is we want to share all this stuff, but our nervous system is just flooded. And now we have no access to
Mhm.
like our brilliant ideas and perspective and all we're doing is like speaking like cavemen, like you dumb, this stupid, like, and
So true. So true. Not just in New Jersey.
not just in New Jersey. Apparently, it happens everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you bring it up a great point. And I've been just thinking, so we should talk some strategy too, because I think, side note with Mercury retrograde, if you are traveling, um, for and Christmas is different, just so you know, Christmas is a little different. The energies are a little different right around then. Let's just for Christmas, there's opportunities for great healing.
That sounds really loaded. I'm sorry, especially with the facial expression. If you can't see Denise's face right now, she's almost smirking, like,
No,
hmm.
no, it's really, I mean, really though, there is some opportunities for healing, but I imagine the amplification of intensity is there as well. But I do want to say this from an astrological point of view, and this is just, you could back this up. It doesn't really matter if Mercury's retrograde at the holidays. It doesn't matter. But travel can be more challenged, especially because Mercury's going to retrograde in Sagittarius, which is our sign of travel. So if you are traveling, just, be patient, give yourself what you need, um, to make it through some whatever you need to do. So, I mean, to your point, Christine, astrology supports, I mean, I always come from the support place of astrology, but the idea of, um, yeah, what does it mean to have an opportunity for healing? Actually, what it means is an opportunity for healing ourselves. I mean, ultimately, I'm not talking about trying to heal necessarily a relationship or a family system. Constellation work is healing family systems. That's the whole point of constellation work. But it does have to start with us. And I think one of the things I appreciate most about you and the way you work is that your style is not confrontational, and it's very loving, and it's direct. You don't let people just sink back into their little comfort zone necessarily. I mean, obviously it depends on the situation, but um, I appreciate that. It's like, be direct. What needs to happen here? What do you really want?
It's helpful when working with people who are like me, codependent, like that has been the one of the things that I've been working through because they will try to manage me,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to book a session at that time because you might be tired, or you, oh, I feel so bad because we went over time.
Mhm.
And I have to tell them that I understand that a lot of times we grow up in families and houses where that's what we have to do to be safe is to read the tea leaves and read between the lines and manage other people.
Absolutely.
But I am a grown ass woman. So
Yeah.
if I am going over time, it's because you don't have to think about that for me. I've
Mhm.
made that choice,
Mhm.
and you don't, if I say I can meet you because of the time difference at 7 a.m. for me, because you're live on the other side of the world, you don't have to then
Yeah.
worry
You
and
can
gnaw
trust.
your fingers
Yeah.
of whether or not you've put me out.
Yeah.
What I say, I mean.
Mhm.
So, and it's so much of us, I think that we don't have that or we don't feel like we have that. So that's why I say it to others because I tend to do the same thing with people like, oh, I don't want to be too much. So I'm always checking it in myself, but I always want to show it to other people that it's my job to
Mhm.
manage me, not
Yeah.
yours. And if I'm tired at 7 a.m. that's not you, that's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Listen to Christine, people, because as someone who comes from a challenged background, from a childhood, that, you were talking about how to read the tea leaves. I actually had a great aunt who was a tea leaf reader, but that's a story for
you
another time.
you absolutely did, Denise. I don't need any proof. I just know that that's very true.
Um, but truthfully, for those of us who are empathic, sensitive, you know, there isn't it's a flip. It's not the best way to learn how to listen to our intuition, but a lot of times these kinds of challenges growing up help us learn how to listen to our intuition. Where the problem lies is we start to make up stories because we're kids. We start to make up stories about all of this, and then we apply it later on without checking in first.
Mhm.
And then we want to manage, and I shouldn't say we, I want to manage my life. I want to have control. And so, yeah, managing other people. Yeah, just listen to what Christine just said. Let people manage themselves. And if they can't, then there's other options as to whether or not we want to be in relationship with them. You know, choice is an amazing thing. And so I always want to say, with astrology, we have support, we also have free will, and we have choice.
Mhm.
So there's a lot here that we get to dive into. And I did want to say, because I do want us to wrap on time, because I want you to make your plane to this
Yeah,
amazing
yeah, I will.
thing that you're
I just am
doing.
behind with packing and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
I know I want you to. The Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, when it does go direct, it let's see. Does it go direct? Not till the end of the month. So after Thanksgiving is over. By that time, it has entered Scorpio. So you've come, yeah, all I have to say is the intensity is ramped up by the end of November. That's all I've got to say on that. And then as we move into December, one of the things that I think is helpful, we have, and I really truly do mean this, that there really is a healing energy that's present. How you want to use that, if you want to use that, when you want to use that, I really think for all of us, the markers point to a lot of honoring the work that we need to do within ourselves. And here it is. I mean, this is actually, I'm just going to do this now. It's kind of bugging me,
Yeah.
but this is
There's the
perfect.
shadow self.
Yeah, this is perfect. Like if you needed anything to show you what we need to do, this is why the sun is shining here and the shadow is here. We have to dive into our shadow. We individually and as a collective too. I will say that. I mean, this is true too. I mean, both is true. We have to dive into the shadow in order to heal. So Mercury's, when Mercury retrogrades, it goes back into Scorpio. That is our sign of the shadow in a lot of ways. It is also a particularly healing sign as well. So when I give that little look, just know that I basically am like, oh my God. No, um, I really, I feel very blessed to have had this opportunity to have this conversation, Christine, because your ability to navigate skillfully is something that's hard won. I mean, it's not something that your whole life has been. And I really appreciate the suggestions and the intent to navigate and to not necessarily let go in that moment forever.
Mhm.
So thank you for that. And you're living into your astrology really, really well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll take that. The one thing that I always want to feel like we have done is to give people tools that they can actually
Mhm,
use, right? We can understand concepts, but then we can go in and go, okay, now that I'm in the situation, what do I do?
mhm,
And obviously, this is a skill that you develop. None of us are ever going to be perfect at it.
mhm,
But I just want to tell us a personal story as a way to wrap things up because it was a really really pivotal moment for me as well. I mentioned earlier that our fear of confrontation really can get in the way of our relationships. It can get in the way of our own
mhm,
feeling of calm, peace, and grounding in ourselves. And a lot of times we see really benign interactions as potentially confrontational. And then when
yeah.
we finally address them, and like the person says, like, "Yeah, okay," and walks away, and we're like, "Oh my God!" Like I spent a week in the maze of that conversation, and it was a complete nothing. Like, why do I do this to myself? So I have a new friend, and I say relatively new because I think we've been friends for a couple of years, maybe now. And the two of us, uh, we were hanging out together, and uh, she has a, she's a very passionate person and very smart person, and um, she has a lot of social issues that she cares a lot about. And we have a lot of the same views on things, uh, and she can be very passionate too, right? And so I look back and I just cringe. But so we're going out to breakfast, and we are in this little gift shop, and there was a Native American headdress in this gift shop, and she had pointed out, about like, I wonder, she had some questions about it, let's say, right? Now, in this moment, my little brain goes, oh, you know what? I really want to talk about this really, really complex and layered view of some of the stuff going around this, because when I was traveling and I bought a lot of Native American stuff that was made by Native Americans, and like, are we then projecting this onto everything, and then the artists that are Native American aren't getting their stuff bought because we're like, oh, I don't want to appropriate. And so it was this whole thing, and I thought I was going to step in and like have this really deep conversation. And so what happened is I opened my mouth, and my brain goes, oh no, girl, you're not safe. You can't say that because she's not going to hear it the way you're intending. And abort, abort. So what happens is, in that split second that I have this thought that I want to have this really cool, deep conversation, my brain goes offline. And what comes out, I swear, I'm not even going to repeat it because I cringe, because it was that dumbed down version, right? It's like, duh, 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 duh. And
Yeah.
so instead of saying something like that was an invitation to a deeper conversation, I say something that sounds really ignorant. And then I panic because I hear what I said. And then I look at her face and I see her face, and then I'm gone, right? Like, I am just flooded. And my brain is going, oh my God, you have to fix this. You have to fix it. But my prefrontal cortex is offline, right? So
Yeah.
every time I open my mouth to try and fix it,
Yeah.
I just am digging that hole
Oh,
deeper and
tell my
deeper.
story. Yes.
So I literally, we have this breakfast. I can't even tell you what we talked about. Like, even my brain is just like, it just blacked out like half of the conversation. And all I see is myself in the car driving home, just like head hung low, feeling like this person now thinks that I am the worst, one of the worst person, that I'm like a closeted asshole, right? Like,
Yeah.
or like bigot or something, like, and how will I ever come back from this? And I will say this, because there has been, this is just a side note, there has been a very, very toxic trend where people hear someone say something, or someone said something 20 years ago or something, and they pick up on it, and then they decide what the person meant,
Yes.
right? They decide that, oh, that was their true colors, what I'm going to project onto that, or that view or joke or whatever that was at that point in time more common, until we learned and grew from it. And now that person may not align with something. I mean, how many of us align with everything we said and thought when we were in our 20s?
Mm.
Like, gosh, thank God there was no
Mm. Yeah.
internet then,
Yeah.
because so anyway,
Right?
so that was my fear, that even if I came back and was able to talk, like, would they have decided already that, the poor showing I did at
Right.
breakfast was the real me, and like indicative of a projection.
Right.
So it took a minute. Like, I was depleted. I mean, I went home and laid down. Like, I didn't know what to do, really. Um, I was I was in the maze, when you go in the maze and trying to figure out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How? And so, because of our schedules, we weren't able to come back and talk about it for a few weeks, which was probably a good thing, because it allowed my nervous system to reset. But then I was like, I'm going to talk to her about this. And so this is how I did it. First of all, it's going to be a conversation on the phone. Why? because her face will trigger my nervous system. So I can't
Oh, that's
do
good.
it in front
Yes.
of her.
Tip number one.
I can't do it through FaceTime. It has to. And what's cute is that she was like, "Hey, you want to FaceTime?" I was like, "Oh, I can't because, well, it's something, I just made up something in the beginning, like some story as to why I couldn't." Um, Number two is I had to play out the worst case scenario before I did the call. So what was the worst case scenario for me was that I would lose this friend, which I didn't want to lose. I adored her. But I had to realize that I have no control over this. I have no control. All I can do is go into it with the intention
Mhm.
of deeper clarity and deeper communication. And but how she takes that is I can't, if I try to manipulate that, it's not going to go well. I have to just go, what do I want to say that I couldn't say that day? What do I want to clear up? So I had to first go, if she's not going to be my friend anymore, I have no say over that. And you know what? And maybe she's just not going to be my friend right now. Maybe later we will have a reconciliation, but I can't do anything about that. So energetically, I had to let that go. And then I had to own the whole thing as mine.
Mhm.
What that looked like was I had to tell her, I couldn't say, I saw your face. Well, then I saw what you did, or I saw your face, or I didn't feel safe because of you. And you know what I mean? Like if I did any kind of language, any language
Mhm.
that said I did this because of you,
Mhm.
then it's just going to make the other person's defenses
Mhm.
come up. And it's just not relational.
Mhm.
We hear negative 100 times louder than we hear anything positive. So just remember, if you're saying something negative, they're not going to hear it in the level that you're saying it. They're going to hear it times 10. So what I said to her, I really wanted to talk to you because I've been really replaying that last breakfast we had, and the story I've been telling myself.
Mhm. Good.
I'm giving you your lines.
Yeah, this is good.
The story I've been telling myself, or the story I was telling myself then,
Mhm.
right, was that I started saying this thing and then I saw your face, and even before your face, like the story was that I'm not safe and my brain went offline. And then I started saying things that seemed stupid, right? So, and then I was trying to fix it. And I told her the whole thing I've already said here. She was so upset that I had struggled with this, that I
Mhm.
had felt this way, that she didn't feel in any way that I was a bad person or take it the way that I was afraid that, my inability to use language would have relayed. And you know what she said? She said, "You know what? But you were right. I had just had a really heated argument with someone I was close to around some really ignorant things that they had said, or some differing viewpoints, or whatever, however she framed it. And I had my chip on my shoulder, or my defenses up, whatever she said. So that intuition that you had was spot on.
Mhm.
And I'm so sorry about that. And I want you to know that I couldn't love you more
Oh,
for having this conversation with me and trusting me to have it.
beautiful.
When we own everything,
Mhm.
there's nothing to push against. We are the grass.
Mhm.
When we point fingers, even if the other person was wrong, it's not about that. We have to just stay in our side of the street.
Mhm. That's a great story. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
I do have one question though.
Yes.
How did you invite her to the conversation?
Oh, I just said, hey,
Did you text her? Did you email her?
well, we had I think we had done one text like a week later saying it was so good to see you. You know, last week. Let's chat soon or something like that. So then I said,
Okay.
hey, there's something that's been on my mind. I really want to talk to
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
But whenever you have the time,
Mhm.
and just made it light, but implied like there's something I want to talk to you. So
Mhm.
that's something that's also important that we set it up properly. You don't want to just go into a heavy conversation with someone without, them being prepared for it.
Yeah, this is really good advice. I do think, I mean, really having the way you said it, giving them the choice as to when that could happen. It's also you letting go of the need to control it or the outcome. So it really is coming back more and more to your work. Because there's, I've had situations, this is a thing right now. This is coming up, whether it's in our interpersonal relationships or around us. I've had something come up, and I think when I look back, um, I could have had a lighter approach to my invitation. It wasn't bad. It could have been a little bit lighter. Um, yeah, that's all. I mean, yeah, I could,
Well,
yeah,
that's where
yeah,
letting go of the person, letting go of
yeah,
you get let go of everything.
yeah,
And then that
yeah,
is like a energy clearing
yeah.
in the best way that you can,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah. I'm super appreciating your Leo and Sagittarius selves right now, because the eighth house, being an eighth house sun person, there's an element of seriousness that comes with this life path that we're on. And I'm just super appreciating the playfulness of the Leo and the playfulness of the Sagittarius as well, and the connection to how can this be better for all of us.
And on that note, I will say that if you get the chance to work with Denise, take it because oh look, we're all kinds of, it's all about us in a way, right? So having someone sit down and just like
Yeah.
look at the time, the day, and the friggin' longitude and latitude of where you were born and like
Yeah.
what the stars were doing. It's like interesting to learn more about ourselves through this lens. But Denise is so much more than that because she brings her wisdom and her training and all these other areas. They just all go into the experience. It's not just that. And she, as you can probably already feel, like she has so much love and non-judgment and acceptance and support and just wants the best for everyone, and that's what she wants her work to do, to go into the world and make the world a better place and make your world a better
I
place.
really do. It's true. Because we are all just amazing beings here together. I want to leave everyone with one last story, though.
Okay.
Can I? Okay.
Around the campfire, yes.
Uh, I want you all to imagine this is the level of conversation that, okay, there are other levels of conversation that we can have too, but we need other Leos and Aries present in the room for that level of conversation to happen. And that's another story for another time that involves a car ride with Kathy Price driving. Um, but I will say, so I want you to imagine we're in Wales. We've just had an amazing time. And
And we is who? We is
oh,
who?
yeah, we would be you and me and David, um, and Jane Pike are at Kathy Price's house for a few days after the summit in Birmingham. I don't know if you remember this, but you and David and I ended up on the same train headed
Mhm.
out of town. So you can imagine we're funny. I mean, you need the other fire signs to make it funnier because I'm not a fire sign and I miss out on this. Everybody else is a fire sign in that group, by the way. Everyone except me, by the way, just saying. We're on the train having this level of conversation about all kinds of stuff in the middle of Wales on the train with all these other people. And I don't even think about the fact, I mean, you just have to wonder, like, that was great. Like that
Mhm.
level of conversation on the train as people were on their commute to work. We happened to be going to airports or wherever we were going that day. I don't remember, but I think we were, yeah, we were off to airports. I think.
You were off to airports. I was off to
Oh
my
yeah, and
friend
we're gonna go
Stuart.
for that next. Oh yeah, that next.
Yeah.
Anyway, I highly recommend also Adventures with Christine. That could be a new show. It should probably be filmed. There should be film involved in that and syndication.
I'm up for suggestions, taking offers. Okay.
Yeah, Adventures with
Have
Christine.
your people reach out to my people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
how can people find you, Denise?
All right. So you can go to a website. It's not very up to date, but I will say someday, possibly it will be DeniseElizabethByron.com. You can just, there's a contact form in there, and that would be the easiest way to get a hold of me.
I'll put it in
You
the
can
show
also,
notes too.
yeah, show notes. That's great. And then my email is Denise@DeniseElizabethByron.com. It is a lot. It is a mouthful. Make sure you get the double E's in there. But yeah, you can find me. I'm always happy to have an opportunity to work with people in your community if ever possible. It's a delight. So
Well, thank you. And
yeah.
thank you guys for uh, sharing this. I love this community so much. And seeing all your faces and seeing like the way you engage and your comments. And I love the whole New Jersey, New York, East Coast stream that's been going in
Yeah,
the
I know. This is
comments.
great. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna, I definitely feel inspired to use you know, I'm in California with a Jersey vibe somewhere. We're gonna use it somewhere. The
Yeah, I
t-shirts are
mean,
coming.
why can't you just have a show? I feel like you need a show, a show.
There we go.
And Adventures with Christine. I'm in California with a Jersey vibe. It's all got to be there.
Look, my friends used to call me AskChristine.com. They
See?
would call me about everything. They were probably about 10 years younger than me. So like there was this, how do we do this with car insurance? And what do you
Oh,
do when your garbage disposal doesn't work? And how do you like so they use yeah, they use it's funny. Anyway, thank you everybody. Thank you. Have a lovely month. If anybody is coming to California soon, can't wait to see you. And we'll have to have Denise on again because this was wonderful.
oh, thank you. I had so much fun. Thank you so much. All right. I can't wait for the next time already.
Bye, everyone.
Mwah. Bye.